of you!
Didn't care to dirty your aristocratic hands.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I don't want to say too much in this review other than the basics because I don't want to spoil it. This game has a lot of touch and go subjects involved in it, from the distance to the graphics, and by distance I mean length of the game, to the graphics, down to the multiplayer not being involved in the $60 price tag. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this review like I would do any other review and keep it short and sweet, but then I'm gonna close out with the strong should you buy it overall opinion and what I think. I hope you guys enjoy this. Let's get straight into it. The story for this game is pretty complicated, so I'm gonna try and keep it short and brief without giving away spoilers. The game pretty much starts off in 1886, but the story begins in 1400 with King Arthur. The Knights of the Round Table have been instilled with the order of trying to save and protect humanity from people who have been half-breeds between humans and monsters. They discover something called dark water, and this gives the humans an advantage over the monsters, and over the course of hundreds of years of losing battles, you begin to meet engineers and create new weaponry and advanced technology that helps to bring almost order to the world. Something happens that I don't want to give away now at the time, but the bottom line is you're a knight and your job is to protect society from these monsters. Although I don't want to give away spoilers for the story, however, I feel like there is something I want to warn you guys about. This is just my experience. The story takes place in parts and has a lot of jumps from different various times in the timetable of the game. It was kind of annoying and hard to deal with, but the story is pretty good, but it gets really good towards, of course, the end. Without giving any spoilers away, I wish there was more to the story to give in this title, but the story is excellent and it is interesting and it's pretty good.
Walking Dead, that's what you are. Gonna wish you never left those catacombs.
Such a mouth.
Fair enough. Fair enough, it's your funeral, not mine.
Controls. The controls for this game feel very similar to those of you who play Gears of War. You'll notice right away when you pick up the controller and you start running down the block to take cover and shoot at enemies, it's gonna feel natural to you. The difference between this and last generation is that this feels slightly more tweaked and a little bit more comfortable and actually feels a lot more real. They did a good job with the controls on this game and I have little to anything bad to say at all about that. I think the controls should be good for anybody who plays third-person shooters and who played Gears of War and was a fan of the Gears of War series. Me beating all 4 games, I love the controls for this.
That's why we have our orders. Shoot on sight.
He has a gun! He has a gun!
Orders to open fire! Take
Whoa, fellas, whoa! Ah!
Graphics. This game's main claim to fame from anywhere around the world you're gonna notice is the graphics. Everybody's talking about the graphics in this game are the best, top notch, and you can't argue they are. However, there's some things that people do need to know here. Now, I do not try to contribute to the Xbox PS4 battle, but however, in all honesty, this game comes very close to but does not surpass the graphics that I've seen on Rise. Even though that was only 900p reportedly, these games are actually kind of equal and almost on the same scale. Now, I've tried this game on various TVs, and on some TVs it actually looked pretty much more amazing than on like a standard HD TV. However, if you look at this on a basic display, both of these games look pretty good. Now, I don't mean to bring another game up in this review, but the reason I'm bringing it up is because this is what people really want to know. Graphically, the game looks amazing and it cannot be touched, but believe it or not, you know, this is the type of graphics that you want to see in a next gen game, and it definitely reaches that mark. However, it is not the only game to look this great. However, it is only one of two that I've seen on next generation that lets you know when you purchase this game that you got next generation graphics. There's no question or doubt about that at all. The graphics are totally amazing and looks good. Overall, there's no need to make this review long and go on and on and on. This becomes a bottom line of how much are you willing to pay for those true next generation graphics. I mean, let's keep it real. That's what it's all about here. The graphics are not being touched by anything that I've seen so far. I mean, in this game, you'll be just amazed and look at stuff and the cutscenes and everything that happens and how it switches from a cutscene to the actual gameplay. It's so amazing. Sometimes you'll check the controller to see if you're playing or actually watching a cutscene because you can't tell the real difference. The bars at the top and the bottom of the screen indicate what's really going on, and it wasn't really a problem for me at all. But once again, when we get down to the thing that you guys really want to know about this game, the length. For me, this game took about 7 hours, and I'm not the kind of person that likes to rush through a game at all. It's a little bit disconcerting that the audience who used to play games like this, like God of War 1, 2, and 3, no longer exists. People don't just want to go for fancy bells and whistles on the game unless you have something to give it replayability. Now, unfortunately, that's the reason I'm gonna have to say that I don't recommend you buy this game unless you could get it for a discounted price or maybe rent it, or unless you really want to see what next gen is capable of and you want to have it on your shelf, because this is the kind of thing that's a collector's item. Now, if you do have the $60, by all means, support Ready at Dawn. They deserve support for this great title. They set the bar very high for next generation games, and this is the kind of game that should have came out with the console when it launched. Now, with that being said, the only problem is once you beat the game, there's nothing left to do unless you feel like playing the campaign over. I don't see a plus mode after it's finished unless that's going to be maybe added in an update. I don't know if they have any plans for DLC. If they have tons of free DLC to expand the campaign, then this makes this an easy buy. But I haven't heard anything about any of this stuff, and at the current state where we are at, 7 hours to 8 hours, anywhere from the rumors of 5, I don't see how 5 is actually possible unless you're like a genius at this game. But for 7 hours to be played from a guy who goes to work every day, that's kind of a lot for a $65 purchase. I'm gonna be honest and tell you that I recommend you rent this game because you can sit down in one day and actually beat this game, and then you're just sitting there with something pretty. Unfortunately for me, guys, I don't believe that audience actually exists, and I have to just be honest and tell you guys that $65 for a game that you sit down and play for 8 hours may not be worth it. You can rent this game, and if you think it's worth it, then yeah, you should support Ready at Dawn and buy it. But for me, just saying that there was no replayability at all, no multiplayer, no plus mode, I don't even hear anything about DLC. I didn't even hear about a season pass. This game is from another era and another audience. Back when PS3 came out with God of War, this would have worked. But in this day and age, it's kind of at that point where it may be a little bit unacceptable for the majority. If you have $65 to spare, then by all means, get this game and show it off when everybody you get the Xbox and the PlayStation war, somebody wants to pop crap, you throw this game in, it's going to shut everybody up. If you feel like being that guy, then yeah, pay $65. But me, honestly, I have to admit, this game is one of those things where it sits on the shelf after you beat it, so it has no replayability unless you want to show off. My final thought on this title right here is this, in a nutshell. The market for single player campaign games is not really there unless the campaign is lengthy. People are getting real uncomfortable with paying $65 for games and then paying for DLC separate, or paying $65 for games and not having replayability. Unfortunately, that's the only thing I could say bad about this game. Other than that, it is a great title. But for those of you who are actually complaining about the length of the game, let me just give you one last reminder here. Remember, you had games like BioShock Infinity, which was a single player game without much replayability, but it was a great game. And I actually didn't see people complaining about that game like they're complaining about this one. This game can actually take you roughly close to the same amount of time, because some people were saying they beat BioShock Infinity in 10 hours. And you should be able to play this game that length if you sit down and enjoy it. Now, I'm going to play it over because I did try to run through it to beat it for review purposes and not to actually play the game. So I do want to keep in mind that you do have other games out there that this shouldn't get such a backlash for. It actually is a great title. I do, as a final recommendation, recommend that if you have $65, you should treat yourself, because that's pretty much what this is. This is like the kid who never got to eat an ice cream cone, and he goes to the ice cream stand and they ask him what does he want, and instead of saying ice cream cone, he says he wants a double cone with sprinkles on it. That's pretty much what this is in a nutshell. So if you have the $65 and you're gonna be honest and you want to play a good game that was put together good, then this is worth it. If you're looking for replayability and that justifies your purchase, then you will have a problem with this game. I hope this review was helpful. Please leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think. It's your boy Jimmybgaming. Let me know what other games you would like me to review. And do remember to download the Android app to stay in touch with me. I'm out of here, guys. Have a good day, night, or weekend, depending on the time and the day that you watch this. Peace.